Hello everyone and welcome to Frogwatch. This is the penultimate episode of Frogwatch. Next episode, they're all being released into the wild. But before we do that, there's a couple of things that we want to look at. It's a little bit of a strange one because this episode, there aren't actually any frogs in it, but there are plenty of things. There are newts, there are grasshoppers. Stay tuned, here's Frogwatch. Right, so the first thing I wanted to show you was the film on the top of the water. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. You can see it quite clearly here. It's really quite thick. And if I get this spatula here and just drag this across the water, it kind of picks it up, and you'll see that it comes off onto the spatula there. It's really quite thick, and the water's getting really quite cloudy. It's just on the very surface of it. Now this is what I said last time, I think as a layer of protein. I'm not sure whether it's algae or whether it's just a pure organic protein. But you can see how much of it there is. There's a lot in there, and it really comes away onto this spatula. But this is kind of sort of built up, I guess, from maybe uneaten food or just kind of the waste that's in the water. So what I did after this, I did a pretty hefty water change. So I emptied out a lot of the water that's in there and filled it up with fresh distilled water, and it's still there. I'm not really going to get rid of it, but you know, it is a lot better. But yeah, it's really very thick. But anyway, there is something else that I spotted while looking around here, and that is our newt has come out of the water for the first time. This is the first time that I've seen it emerge onto the little rock that's poking out of the water. And there, doesn't he look fantastic? So he'll be going back into the pond very, very soon, because we're going to be releasing all these frogs and newts and everything back into the pond soon. So last episode I said I wanted to get some more footage of them feeding. This is the best I could get really. There we go, he's feeding on a cricket. So there was a cricket left over from the frogs, and I thought I'll just see. Wasn't sure whether the newts would be interested in, but this one, he grabbed it. The cricket was floating on the surface of the water, and he just slowly swam up to it, grabbed it in his mouth, and then for the next few minutes he's sort of swimming around with it in his mouth, sort of giving it a bit of a shake and a bit of a nibble every now and again. So there he is. So basically he just he sort of lays there in the water with it in its mouth, and then every now and again he'll give it a bite, give it a nibble, and you should see he should just do it in just a moment. Going to give it a bit of a nibble. Is he going to go? He's just sitting there. Go on, you can do it. There he goes. He's taking a little bit of a bite. And you can see this is the best footage of it I could get. It looks pretty spectacular. They're really fascinating to watch. So, okay, I think, sorry about my finger in the corner there, but I think it's time to look at the pond. So the pond weed was really choking this pond, and I didn't want to mess around with it because I wanted to leave it natural, but there was just too much. So I did cave in and I pulled out a lot of weed. Now I've left it all on the side there, so any life that's been caught in there, any newts, snails and that sort of thing that's been pulled out of the pond, that can find its way back in. It'll crawl back in. I'll leave it there for a few days and then we'll clear it away at a later date. But it's looking a lot better now. There was so much weed in there. And also I found a lot of these little guys. Hopefully you can see him. He's quite camouflaged, but this is a grasshopper. I've got a little bit of footage of the grasshoppers. We'll do this to end off the episode. You can see him there, absolutely fascinating to watch. He's eating that big blade of grass there. He's kind of chewed it off completely, and now he's just nibbling away at it. And it looks really, really good. So I looked at the identification charts for the grasshoppers, and I'll probably stick one up on the screen at some point around here. And I'm pretty confident this is a field grasshopper. You can tell by sort of the markings on its back, and also by the song. You can't hear its song on the camera because I don't really tend to sing when you're around, because they keep still and quiet, so they don't want you to notice them. So I couldn't catch their song on camera. But the kind of the pattern that I was hearing was matching up with what it says on the chart. And there we go. He's a little bit wary because I'm getting in a bit closer now. I'm trying to move some of this grass out of the way so we can try and see its back, so I can just have a look at the markings on it on the back. But it's a little bit difficult to see because he's on the verge of jumping away, I think. So I do have some footage of some more. We can get a pretty good look at another one. Alright, so here we've got another one. you should be able to see, it's a little bit tricky, but you should be able to see the markings on his back a lot better here. I'll get a close-up look at it in a little while. So you can see how sort of big it is. It's far too big for my frogs. They're not going to eat it, so it's safe. Don't worry. He's going to jump away a little bit, but before he does jump away, we can get a good close look up at the markings on his back. You can see the kind of white markings, and they kind of curve inwards right on this kind of his back, on his head. And there he goes. He's jumped away, and he's jumped onto this wall over here. That's quite a big jump. If you actually look at the distance he's jumped, they've got a very, very strong jump. And you see when you walk out into the garden here, a lot of them will just you can see the movement where they jump away from you as you come out. And there we go. So there's a really good shot of his markings on him. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's a field grasshopper. So there's a few more. We saw on the chart that I put up earlier that they can have sort of different coloured markings. This one here is kind of a pinky colour. I couldn't get too close to this one because he kind of jumped away. So hopefully you'll be able to sort of make out enough there to see that he's kind of a pinkish colour. And we have another one on top here, quite camouflaged, quite a big one there. Yeah, looks really good. And there we go. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Next episode is going to be the last one of the series. We're going to release all the frogs, all the newts, the snails, every little bit of life in my tanks are going to get put back into the pond. And yeah, that's it. That's going to be the end of the series. I might do a few ones in the future where we're going to have a look in to see how things are getting on. But that's going to be pretty much it. So I hope you will join me for the next episode, the final of this series. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.